read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR. Create your own road show. The nexus of space and time, where you are now, is the most immediate sector of your universe.
Hey everybody, we're here for the pre-show. That was the barbershop quartet moment. Pre-show.
That was SCN
pre-show.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we could do a barbershop quartet. I just realized. Why are we doing that?
I've done the barbershop quartet thing before, so
I did a barbershop
that's
quartet
right, you
in
have.
college. I did
Yeah,
one.
nice.
I also did a jug band.
wait, what part did you do in the barbershop quartet? I forget what the word for it is now.
I think it was baritone. I don't know. It was
Okay.
a real janky barbershop quartet.
Oh, what do you sing, Oz? Are you a baritone bass tenor?
I sing barely. I'm not
I
a
would
singer.
I would put Opti as
garbage.
a baritone second tenor, I think. Right?
I have
Not a bass.
no idea what you're saying.
What was it? I think I was baritone as well when I did a couple of musicals. I think it was baritone. I wasn't bass for sure. And I wasn't the other one, the higher one. What's the higher one?
Soprano?
Tenor? There's first and second tenor.
No, that's women.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the
soprano and alto
tenor?
would be for women, but
yeah, I was definitely not tenor. Despite my voice being what it is, when I actually sing, it just comes out baritone.
Actually, tenor and alto are basically the same range. They're almost entirely completely overlapping. The only reason there's two separate words is because they're two different genders. So I feel like we can get rid of one of them. I'm not sure which, though. I like them both.
I prefer alto because alto just implies up here, right? And then... But actually, I always thought it was interesting that they have that the way that they classify it is you have 2 for women, 3 for men. Different vocal ranges.
Yeah, I guess, though, baritone is technically like, upper bass.
Yeah.
You could break them all down into 2. There's first and second soprano and first and second alto. Sometimes you break them up, and some will handle higher parts and some will handle lower. But so yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in choir, but I
can
did
fake
a lot.
a really
I did
good
a lot of
alto.
choir.
Yeah, I could fake a really good alto though. You've heard me when I screech laugh. You know that.
Yeah, I think if we did the barbershop quartet, I'd probably have to do first tenor, which I might not be able to do anymore. Oz would be the second tenor, and then Opti and Bobby would have to fight over who has to do bass, and then the other one gets to do baritone.
Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah, I
boom,
think-
boom, boom,
I don't know.
boom,
I
boom,
don't know.
boom, boom.
I don't know. You don't want me trying to hit actual notes. I'm really comfortable at just kind of going.
That's why, like, second tenor is like they sing the main melody. All right, the first tenor is the one who does all like the needing to reach into falsetto for the higher harmony stuff. So yeah,
I don't think I can do bass.
You're also the best looking out of all of us, and that's like sort of the lead singer part. So it fits for that. So.
I mean, okay. But either way, no. But then I'm going to be the worst sounding one of all 3 of you.
See, this is why we switched to a jug band.
Yeah.
Too many
or
arguments.
like those, what are they called? Like those shanty things that everybody's talking about now.
Yeah.
Can we do a quattranti band?
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure what that is.
No
scandalous.
panty sea shanty band.
The no panty sea shanties. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. On it.
Give us your shanties.
Shanty raid.
There it is.
Yep.
That's worth doing just for the name.
Yeah. All right, we got to start writing some lyrics.
We could do all of our sea shanties in like the style of like
Revenge of the Nerds from the 80s.
Or like as if we were the monkeys or something with a you know, a huge like crazed young lady following.
That'd be really awkward for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Like,
a sea
we're all-
shanty band named Shanty Raid.
Right, but like, yeah, that's
Daryl's
fair.
already got us started. Soon may the fixer man come to bring us new yen and soy and guns.
Nice.
I played the jug in the jug band. That is the hardest instrument. You hyperventilate before the chorus.
Yeah, I would not want that job.
You're just that's all it is.
All right, I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be right back.
Abdi's like, this
Pre-show
is
drink.
going nowhere.
Once the jug band starts being
once
imitated, I'm out.
once Oz and Bobby just start blowing into the mic over and over again.
My mind is rolling along with Shadowrun themed shanty lyric ideas. So
Yeah, we got to make that happen. Ugh. So how was everybody's week?
Well, America's Next Top Podcasters season 3 is going to be starting soon, and I've been working really hard on that. So I've been very busy.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah. So
you almost won that last year, didn't you?
Almost. Second place. There's not really anything to announce per se, so I'm not like making an announcement. But when it gets closer, I'm going to tell everybody, hey, if you're interested in this, check out this show, because I work for it now. You know.
Wasn't there an All-Stars season already?
Well, it wasn't a season. There were some All-Star specials, and I did do an All-Star episode, and I won that.
Boom.
Oh, nice! Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited. I really enjoyed it. And, you know, for anybody who is making any kind of content, even video content, like that was incredibly helpful to listen to. And it helped me kind of like get myself in a mindset that was more along. Like every time, it's funny, every time Bobby would be like, this doesn't make any sense to us when we like try and tell like, oh, we just want to like do a thing. Bobby's like, we should be thinking about this stuff. And I'm like, no, we don't. And then I heard it and I was like, oh yeah, I know. Everybody wants us to be thinking about this stuff. So,
yeah, I learned a lot on that show, but so I'll talk more like about it when it gets closer. Cause I do want to promote that show. It's a great show. I know a lot of people who listen are like in the world of podcasting or doing something with it. And no matter what kind of podcaster you are, you can definitely learn from that show. In season 3, I'm editing the main feed episodes, so hopefully they're going to be even more awesome. I'm just saying that because I don't know. Hopefully it will.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot to learn from it.
Yeah. I'm just
the last editor still works for the show, so he's editing different stuff. We split up there's like the patron only episodes that are going to go out, and then there's the main feed episodes, and I'm doing the main feed episodes, and he's doing all the patron exclusive content, which is a lot more content, but he's got a really good like workflow down for all that now. So
I'm jealous of Opti's drinking right now.
Yeah.
This was a gift. Came in a 3-pack for
Grange
What is that?
Scotch.
You won't stop moving it.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to
The
get a
Scotch.
good review, but it's called Grangestone.
Oh, okay.
I got in a 3-pack, and this is a fantastic Scotch. I don't know. I can't say that I've had it before, and it doesn't.
Scotch.
Yeah, it's from Scotch.
Yeah. I like that was a stupid question.
No, you know what? I didn't know that before I started drinking Scotch. So that's
It's like how champagne comes from Champagne, France.
right.
Scotch comes from Scotchland.
Right. It's not Scotch unless it comes from the Scots region of the UK. Otherwise, it's just shitty whiskey.
All right, I think I have everything ready. If you guys
Perfect.
If you guys want to do a show.
Mm,
You guys
I
want to
do.
do a show?
I don't know. No, yeah, let's do it. It's the highlight of our weeks. I'm excited.
All right. Oh, I have to move.
Hey, a quick question. I was looking at the stupid game thing for tonight, and it looks like the
Big mistake.
assignments are all the same. Do we have an update on that, or did I just miss it?
I could have sworn I fixed it.
No, those are not the same. It's just one of the names is appearing again. The one that Cliff is, I think, was there last week.
I'll open that up in a second.
That's all. But that just could be how the cycle, I don't know.
No. Because I arrange things.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Are you a ranger?
A little bit, like I'll when I randomize, if anybody who is up recently, like within a past couple of episodes, I'll skip them and I'll go to the next one, so that way we can kind of like bring up people that haven't been in for a while.
I was making a D&D class joke, but sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's a ranger?
I always.
All right,
Here,
I'm just gonna press a random button before I play on my soundboard here that I don't know what this intro bit will be until I press it. So hopefully it's good. I like to play little things before the theme music starts. It's fun.
What's the difference between a ditty and a shanty?
One of them is about Jack and Diane.
Because combining those two words is fun either way you go.
I'm not sure what a ditty is, but a shanty's fairly specific.
Yeah, maybe it's a ditty. Can be a shanty, but a shanty is not necessarily a ditty. Or maybe the other way around. I don't know.
I'm not sure what qualifies a ditty or what defines a ditty as a ditty, but a shanty would definitely have to have the mariner aspect, and is largely going to be, a cappella vocals with maybe stomping on the deck or fiddles or something. Okay. But that's about it. A ditty, I think. To the internet,
a ditty is a short, simple song.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
A shanty, when it comes to music, is a song with alternating solo and chorus of a kind originally sung by sailors while performing physical labor together.
So
alternating solo and chorus. Okay.
Was John Mellencamp being redundant? Was John Mellencamp being redundant when he said, "Here's a little ditty"? Like it's inherently little?
Yes, it was redundant and also incorrect because that song goes on for a lot longer than a ditty ought to.
It's not little or a ditty.
Maybe he was being facetious.
That's ironic.
But it was a shitty ditty.
In fact, I really
got all the puns
really
on
love that joke you just made. All right.
But yes, a shanty could be a ditty.
What did you say, Bobby?
I said I love the joke you just made. In case anybody missed your Alanis Morissette joke.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad somebody heard it.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I've had a lot of mentions of Alanis Morissette lately.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it another time.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I have nothing to contribute to that conversation. I didn't grow up with her.
I didn't either, but she was on the radio a lot.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles. There are clearly a number of ways in which a Christmas carol could be introduced.
Yippee-ki-yay,
January 17th, 2021. My name's Bobby Frankenberger, and you're listening to Weekly Game Night. All right, it's Weekly Game Night. I'm here with my fellow co-hosts. We'll start in reverse order from last time, I guess, just because, and introduce first Oz. How's it going, Oz, down there, over there?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm getting pretty far along in Cyberpunk 2077. I'm getting further in my designs for Cybernatica tabletop RPG. So everything's going nice. I feel a little more productive in a non-productive way, and that is fantastic.
That is fantastic. I love when you can feel good about your procrastination. It's good to be able to do that. What about you, Opti? Are you procrastinating more or less?
I am not doing that at all. I have hit a place where I can't move forward on my projects because of other people, so I'm not procrastinating. I'm just not getting anything done. But I did play Knights of the Old Republic until 4 o'clock last night in the morning.
Whoa!
So that was fun to get back into that Star Wars game. It's always a nice every couple years thing to do. And my favorite band, Five Iron Frenzy, just released a new album this week. So I am like generally in a pretty positive mood about life this week.
Wow, good. I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And what about you, Cliff?
Doing pretty good as well. I had a pretty good week. Actually got some podcasts out the door this weekend. A new Legends of Earthdawn is dropping today, or has dropped. I'm not sure. Courtney's taking care of that at some point. And there's a new episode of The Arcology that dropped. The second half of my interview with Daryl Mott Jr. as my guest host, as we discussed the Firing Squad book. And we brought back some other segments we haven't done in a while, like a story time sent in from a listener. I did a critter quarter and made up a kind of a weird Shadowrun critter, along with some tips and hooks for how to use it in your game. And it feels good to get another episode out. Also, earlier this week, I'll save the funny freakout news for later.
Oh yeah, sneak peek tease later. There's some news about that game. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that people are having a good week. That's a good change of pace.
Yeah. I also played some new board games. I just realized. I played Dune Dune something of the Imperium. It's a combo deck builder / worker placement game.
Oh, okay.
Which was actually really, really nicely designed. I really enjoyed it.
I don't think I've ever played that combination of game mechanics before.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
I do like both of those mechanics.
I definitely like both of those separately. So
then I highly suggest you check it out. I mean, it was complex enough where it was interesting to kind of like turn your wheels and figure it out, but not enough where it was like a brain burner. I felt like I was always I had options available to me, and I was just able to kind of like. It was a really, really cool system. And mind you, I haven't seen the Dune movie yet. I don't know anything about Dune except Giant Sandworm, and I know the clans from lots of other board games of Dune I've played, iterations.
Also, don't trust Sting in a knife fight. He'll poison the blade.
Noted. And then right after, I played Azul for the first time as well.
That's a classic.
Yeah, I know.
There is no Dana.
It came out like what, 4 or 5, 6 years ago? I don't remember, but like
Instant
it solidified
classic,
itself as a classic. Instant classic, yeah. And it's like an abstract game where you're just like laying out stained glass tiles, and I don't even know how that works, but it just did. I was like, this is fascinatingly simple and amazing. Like I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
I'll have to check out that first one. What did you say? It was just Dune
something of the Imperium. Hold on.
Something of the Imperium.
Yeah. Hold on. I will find that for you right now.
Yeah, while you're doing that, because I do like occasionally, like I quite often like, as you described, what is it called?
Dune Imperium. There's no something of the. It's just Dune Imperium.
Oh, that's good. I do like brain burner games, as you put it. But you have to be in the right mood for it. There's this one game that is very popular here in the Frankenberger house that is called Food Chain Magnate, for anybody who's played it. And that is a very mechanically complex, very strategic board game. But you have to be in the mood because you cannot be like, your reason for board gaming that night cannot be to sit down and like have a casual time talking to each other, because you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be focused on your workers, who you have to hire and fire, where you're putting like all the stuff, and like you're going to be strategizing for your next turn, like 3 turns behind. Like there's no room for that. So
I feel like that dynamic right there explains basically the first 3/4 of my life, is really wanting to like focus on a game and being around a bunch of people who didn't care about the game except because it was a venue to chat and talk, and me being frustrated. Like, why don't you shut? Why don't you stop talking and play the game?
Are you that person sometimes at the table where you're like, can we if you would just pay attention, then you might know what's going on?
I am that person, like, and I'm again different place now than I was back then. But I was that person who would just get really quiet and then just like passive aggressively go whatever and then leave. You know?
Can you take your turn already? You're taking a long time.
I do get annoyed when people chat a long time and don't take their turn.
Yeah.
I am one of those people. That's still with me, though. I honestly, I am there more for the hanging out with friends experience than I am playing the game. But I think when it gets to like a certain part in the game, about 2/3 of the way through or so, there's that point where I just want to focus on things and get through to the end of it.
Well, yeah, because that's when you start seeing like, oh, someone's close to winning. I can't let that happen. Yeah. Now I gotta dig my heels in and make sure I stop them at all costs. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, before we move on to the news, I just want to remind everybody about our Patreon. So if you want to support what we're doing here, if you like the show, you should consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/shadowcasters. We're going to play the stupid game later, like we play every episode. And if you want to be featured in the stupid game, you have to be a patron at the warrior level or higher. It's called the warrior for a reason, so that you can be a warrior in the stupid game. In this stupid game. But there's lots of other benefits that you get, like behind-the-scenes looks at things and access to chat channels and Discord, stuff like that. So check it out, patreon.com/shadowcasters. We would really love to be able to do some of the cool things that we have planned later on down in the Patreon. But now, let's do some news. God, that's so loud. There we go.
If it makes you feel any better, we can't hear any of it.
Really? Did I mute that for you guys? Oh, well, I'm not changing it now.
Yeah, we didn't hear the intro. It's fine.
It was good. It was fun.
I know. We'll listen to it later.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to some tabletop news for the week. We've got a couple of news stories. Remember that if you have news that you'd like us to talk about, send it on to us over at our Discord channel. You can find that at shadowcasters.network/Discord. You can get a link to get in there and drop some news items in there, and we'll put it into the show. But right now, let's get to the news. First up, I got an email, and it's about a convention. We've been talking recently about COVID and conventions, and Origins Game Fair has rescheduled. Did you guys hear about this? Origins rescheduled.
Yes,
I did.
I was excited about it, to be frank.
It is exciting, and I wanted to briefly discuss why that's exciting. To start with, well, let me give the details. They've normally Origins Game Fair, which is in Columbus, Ohio. Normally they do their con. Usually it's always Father's Day weekend, isn't it? Which is
June.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah. And every time that I've been or thought about going, it was on Father's Day weekend, so that's why I assumed that. But that's at the beginning of June. And it's not going to be then for probably obvious reasons because of COVID and all the other cons being canceled. But they have rescheduled it for September 30th to October 3rd of this year. And some of the details here, I'm gonna give those to you. It says that September 30th to October 3rd, they say safety is their primary concern, and they believe holding Origins later in the year provides the best path to have an in-person event this year. They're working with convention organizers, developing guidelines. They're going to require face masks, social distancing, temperature checks, hand sanitizing stations. All of that sounds very promising. Now, I will not be able to make it, but I think if I was in a position to more flexibly be able to go, like if I had known about it sooner, I might have strongly considered. Are any of you guys thinking about going, given the details about it being later in the year? and presumably more people will be vaccinated, and with all these precautions that they're going to be taking.
I am almost certainly going to go, given the change in date. Yeah, I feel pretty confident that everything will be in place for my safety and for my family's safety. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Given the caveat that I expect to be vaccinated against COVID by that time, hopefully well before, we'll see, fingers crossed. But at least by then, I should have been vaccinated against COVID, and when that happens, I'm going back to the cons. So I'm very pleased that instead of being canceled, Origins is pushed back to a later date. I'm curious if Gen Con's going to, or if they have the flexibility to consider doing such a thing as well. Because I think Gen Con might be a little too soon. It's hard to say.
Probably will be, especially given the rollout of the vaccine. But
administration change might result in faster rollouts. Well, we'll see, though.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Joe Biden, the gaming president.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, so I think that this is a promising thing. It might sort of foretell conventions coming back sometime after that, and people taking precautions and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
a portent, if you will.
Yes, a portent. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah. So that's that. In other news, so Cliff, you had something about a Kickstarter, Zine Quest.
Yeah, news from Kickstarter. Zine Quest 3 has been announced. It's the 3rd annual Zine Quest. And to explain what that is, I'm just going to read this from Kickstarter. Our annual Zine Quest prompt bestows creators with this valiant mission. Bring your RPG to life with maps, adventures, monsters, comics, articles, and interviews. To participate, launch a 2-week project for a simple, single-color zine this February. Yeah, so the requirements are your product that you're creating is a single-color zine. Zine being, I forget the exact requirements of the paper, but they posted fewer of those requirements this time. This is about as in-depth as they get with the details that I could find. So yeah, no flashy multicolor photographs or anything like that. Just old school RPG-based zine. And if you meet those requirements, Kickstarter will sort of group you with the Zine Quest, the other Zine Quest projects as sort of a promotion. And it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to get your foot in the door with some sort of RPG design ideas, whether you're making something up for an RPG that you already play or making something up entirely new. I think it's worth doing. I wasn't going to do it last year, and then halfway through February, somebody just on Twitter suggested it, and I was like, oh, what the heck? I've got a game design idea, and I did it, and that was a lot of fun. So if you're at all interested in getting into game writing or game design, why not try out launching your own Zine Quest Kickstarter campaign? You can go ahead with very low stakes, and you get some neat indie products out of it. There's a lot of really unique stuff that was created through the last 2 Zine Quests.
Yeah, cool.
I'm actually going to consider that for Lo-Fi Cigarettes.
Oh, that'd be perfect for it.
Yeah, because that was a game that, I mean, I created last year, and the year before that. Holy crap. And I've always meant to give it like a treatment, but yeah, that's possible. Okay.
All right.
Whatever.
Yeah, I did it last year. It was a lot of fun. I put a very low goal because really the only costs I had to cover were I'm printing the stuff off my printer and stapling together and shipping them off. And a lot of the people just took the PDF option as well. But that's one of the requirements of Kickstarter is that you have to have a physical product as part of your end goal with the campaign. So you can't just do a PDF. You have to plan to spend some time figuring out how to set up a zine and print it out and staple it. But I got to tell you, it took me a while to figure out it was both harder and easier than I thought it would be. And it was definitely easier than it should have been. All of that on my shoulders for not figuring out the right buttons to press.
I didn't know that. So that's a Kickstarter rule in general that you have to have something physical?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
unless it's changed or I'm misinformed. But I'm pretty sure I read that a Kickstarter campaign has to be for a physical product. So if you're doing a music album, you have to have, CDs or something. I think if I were to do a music one, I would want to put some out on like tape, like old school cassette tapes.
What was the thing that you did on Zine Quest?
Yes, that leads into my other headline. The thing I did for Zine Quest 2 last year is Funny Freakout. And up until now, that game has only been available to the backers of the Kickstarter and a few friends of mine, and I also have given it away to patrons of the Arcology podcast. But this last week, I released Funny Freakout to the public on itch.io. So I'm going to just go ahead and read from the itch.io page for Funny Freakout and tell you what it is. Funny Freakout is a rules-light, fast, and funny party game designed as a tabletop RPG. Your goal is to pull off the funniest, weirdest prank you can on an unsuspecting mark. You'll also need to avoid letting the mark get too suspicious and make sure they have a good time in the end. The game master plays the role of the mark, keeps score, and generally tries to make things interesting for the actors. And unlike most other RPGs, the players are in control of the setting and pace of the prank. It's their show after all. The GM's role is to react and respond to them through the lens of a single character. It's created by Clifton Lambert. That's me, my writer name. Originally for Kickstarter Zine Quest 2 event. And last week, Rem Alternis featured Funny Freakout in an actual play on Twitch that I took part in. It was a lot of fun. Check out twitch.tv/masterofrem to see the video on demand of that. And the game itself is available in PDF format on itch.io. Just search Funny Freakout on itch.io. Or I've got a link here as well that I think Bobby's posting into the chat. Cost is $5, but community copies are available. And what community copies are free copies that are available to anyone who wants to get the game but can't spare the funds to purchase it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I wrote and released an RPG. And people played it on a stream. It feels really good to have that happen, and also to have the game played in a way that, it's kind of how I imagine people would play it. Mm-hmm. Even though they did fun and unexpected things too, which is part of it.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Go ahead.
No, I love that the GM is the butt of the joke in this.
Right. Yeah, there were a couple ways I sort of flipped or subverted regular RPG conventions with this. One of it being that I guess one of the sparks of the idea for this game was I wanted to toy with the idea of coming up with an RPG design that in which violence had absolutely no role to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that I really love that, because that kind of leads to what I think is really cool about this. Specifically, it's put really well in your description that you read, which was you'll need to avoid letting the mark get too suspicious and make sure they have a good time. So that kind of like rules out,
killing them.
Yeah.
or just being generally cruel and abusive.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I like that it's a good-natured, fun pranking that you're doing, and you're not like encouraging people to be assholes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, it's largely inspired by a show called Scare Tactics, which is similar idea. They get a mark, usually someone who's been nominated by a friend or relative of theirs, and they set them up for something and try to freak them out. But their goal is also to make it safe and to have them look back on the experience like a wild ride. So that's definitely where I took some of the inspiration from. And I wanted to make a game that was about sort of good feels and having fun. And it's I think it turned out pretty neat. I still keep coming up with ideas for how I'd like to improve it, but I feel like it's in a good place as well.
Is it like a campaign style game, or is it just more of a like single session kind of thing?
No, I didn't hit the stretch goal for campaign mode, so these are more of like a sort of a beer and pretzels casual party game, sure. Low to no prep, get some people together and have a wild time, sort of RPG.
That's awesome. You know how we've talked before how much we here love that type of stuff anyway, so awesome. You guys should check it out. It's on itch.io, you said? Funny Freakout?
Yep, itch.io, and as I said, there are free copies available. When they run out, I'll just add some more. I'm just putting limited amounts in just to kind of keep track of, how popular the game is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, my goal is that no one should be denied being able to grab the PDF and play the game because they can't spare the $5 to buy it.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things that we've talked about before, Oz, you had something you wanted to an update you wanted to tell us about.
Yeah, so, and since we're talking about zines, this kind of like tails nicely into it. So the Morkborg cult zine called Heretic has exceeded its Kickstarter goal tenfold. So this is actually the second Kickstarted zine from the Morkborg cult. So I didn't know about this. The first one was called Ferratory, which was also a major success. This one, its approximately $12,000 goal was met in 7 minutes, and it's gone to attain over 2,000 backers, and as of this recording, over $115,000. It comes with 4 adventures, 2 new classes, 3 optional rules, and 5 creatures, all created by the Morkborg cult, which is fan-made content selected by the Morkborg team to get the full Doomsday art punk design and layout treatment of its main content. Some are already available for free on morkborg.com, while others are going to be exclusive to the zine. Higher pledge levels are also going to come with an official Morkborg GM screen and a mysterious box called Ikon, I think is how it's pronounced. It contains things about 4 almost forgotten gods. There's also other add-ons, such as the previous zine Ferratory, an additional dungeon crawl / murder gauntlet, and my personal favorite, a pad of character sheets, since they die a lot, apparently. I did a segment about Morkborg and its Morkborg cult business model back in September, and I predicted that it would see tremendous success if they actually went ahead and pulled off what they said they would do. And I mean, so much so, in fact, the success is that Morkborg's Twitter account recently stated that there were too many amazing submissions to make official, so they had to pause submissions in order to catch up. And they've suggested that in the meantime, creators can continue creating and releasing their content using the third-party license. And I gotta say, I'm very impressed. This is exactly what I think indie RPGs up and coming should be doing. It's about continuing to empower your fan base to create and to treat them as equals as well, right? Like if you're enough of a fan to create something like that and make it really good, that you get it published and the whole treatment, I mean, that's fantastic. It's a slow rollout, right? You're not going to be the next D&D or whatever overnight. But I think this is the way to go. So I'm still very interested in following this business model.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are they compensating any of the writers for that? Like if it's a fan-made stuff, are they just taking it and then publishing it?
I forgot how their model works. I want to say yes.
Because like
I believe so. What they do is they take certain things that people have made and submitted for it, and they, with their permission, they produce them with the full art style of the original, and they they put the full art style of their own materials. So they put all their layout and art behind it, and they post it up on their website under the Morkborg cult section, all free, available to download.
But I want to say yes.
I don't see the problem with that.
I want to say that they do pay them.
I'm not sure if they pay or not, but I know the end result is that it's free. I think the other thing is that you are still welcome to then essentially sell it on your own as a third-party RPG product. But I'm not sure.
If that's the case, that seems really on the up and up. That seems really cool. But if they're just making $100,000 off of content that other people wrote, that says like, whoa. Maybe that's not like a stellar business model, or at least the people who wrote it.
If I recall correctly, yes, they do pay. Like there is a fraction. So basically, it's encouraging. It's kind of like the what's it called? The D&D Guild, DM's Guild model, right? Like you can put up content and sell it for whatever you want. So, but in this case, they're curating the content. Like they select the content. Mm-hmm.
It feels a little awkward to say this, but if you'd like to know more about that, we did do a segment about
Yeah.
it.
Right.
It feels awkward to say it because it seems that all of us have forgotten the details of that segment. But
It was a long time ago, and it's been a
while ago,
long year.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I remember I was very inspired by that segment and by Morkborg. I went and bought the PDF and I checked it out. And while I'm not planning on submitting to their Morkborg cult items, I am working on another RPG that is a hack and slash of Morkborg. So it'll be using their third-party license and a lot of their rules ideas, but also going with a different genre of metal.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And if you want to know details about how their business model works, go check out the video that we've forgotten that we did. And yeah, Opti, you got something about a sort of peanut butter and jelly of the RPG world.
Yes. Get your Pathfinder out of my Savage Worlds. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you have heard, but they're the Pinnacle Entertainment Group is marrying two rather popular RPG things together. And they are using the Pathfinder setting and they're giving it Savage Worlds rules. So I know a lot of people like Pathfinder and a lot of people like Savage Worlds. So this seems like a fun thing for those folks. That's coming to Kickstarter in just 2 days, Tuesday the 19th. Looks like they have a box set planned with what they describe as the usual Savage World accessories and a second box based on the Rise of the Rune Lords set of Pathfinder adventures coming as well. Now, looking at this, when I was looking into how this is happening and what's going on, I came across something else interesting, and that is Pathfinder had an adventure path called Kingmaker. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's like one of their most popular ones. There you go. Okay. Well, there's a hardcover Kingmaker adventure path source book coming out supporting the Kingmaker adventure path, a hardcover release that's expected for 2021, and it ships in 2 editions. One is for the Pathfinder First Edition, and the second is for Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition. So I don't see anything revolutionary about a new setting for Savage Worlds, right? Like this is people do this all the time. Like there's all sorts of Kickstarters, there's all sorts of games, and there's nothing particularly interesting or new about a new book full of monsters for Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition. Like that stuff is going nuts as well. But what I do think is interesting is the sort of cross branding that's going on, and I'm kind of 2 minds about it. On the one hand, like why not? It seems like a relatively easy cash grab if you just want to market to fans of both properties. But I also sort of get uneasy about things merging, especially when big guys start to work together. And I know in RPG industry where the big guys are still really small guys, but Paizo and Pinnacle are not indie, right? They've been doing stuff for a long time. Pathfinder, especially, Paizo is one of the hugest ones in the RPG, and Pinnacle's I don't know exact numbers, but they're probably not too far behind Paizo. But them doing stuff like this confuses me a little bit. Like, were there people asking for this? I know it seems like a slam dunk to me, even though I don't play either one. But if so, does putting out products for 5e or licensing to Savage Worlds, like what does that gain Paizo? Like what are they? Is it exposure? I'm just a little bit not confused because I can definitely think of reasons. I just don't know why they would start doing that.
I mean, there's a lot of ancillary products that you can get for Pathfinder, right? Like as far as minis and playmats. I mean, there's so many playmats and different products like that if you release it in a system that is more appealing to people that wouldn't play Pathfinder, because everybody says Pathfinder is super complicated, but they already like Savage Worlds, and this lets them get into it easier. Same
you can
thing
still
with,
do the merching. Is that what you're saying? If
absolutely. Yeah, and it's the same reason. Like, I mean, we had a news segment a while back about the that one company that's doing My Little Pony and GI Joe and all that stuff for D&D 5e. Like, why? And it's because it's that, again, super easy.
This feels like a defeat for Paizo. Like in my head,
Really,
right?
to me, it feels like Paizo's making a really smart move. They got all these adventure paths created, which are really detailed, long story campaigns that could be very easily adapted to another system and then be purchased by a whole new range of customers who aren't interested in touching Pathfinder, but might be up for playing the adventures if it's presented to them in a system they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And on
Also,
that note,
did you know that FASA has an Earth Dawn player's guide in Savage World Edition?
I did not know that.
There are Earth Dawn products, available in PDF form that have been for years. I think it's an earlier version of Savage Worlds, but just thought I'd mention that crossover.
so on that note, I mean, something I also think is interesting is Rise of the Rune Lords is a first edition campaign, right? And so is Kingmaker. So like it seems like now that they have second edition Pathfinder, that it's a way for them to be like, okay, anybody who already is a Pathfinder fan has already played these adventures. I mean, these are like staples, right? But so there's no point in releasing them for a second edition. But if you release them in a different system, then you get people that are playing this adventure path and buying the ancillary products that come with that adventure path. So I can see why that would be
It strikes me, and again, maybe this is my perception from the outside, that Paizo essentially exists as a company in reaction to negative Dungeons and Dragons experience.
Absolutely,
right?
it did.
I mean, that's how they got their start. Absolutely.
Right. So them kind of going like at this point, they're like,
well,
hey guys, can't
here's
help
what
noticing
seems
that
like-
you made a good product. Mind if we play with your ball again? Right? It just feels like, I don't know.
Here's what seems like maybe weird to me about what I'm wondering about Paizo is they just came out with a whole new edition of Pathfinder, but they're putting this book out for everything but their new
First edition and D&D,
What
their
is-
main competitor. Yeah.
Did they just give up on second edition Pathfinder? That would be like
That's what I thought
Catalyst
was weird.
going, well, okay, nobody likes sixth edition. Let's go back to fifth now. Like, what?
Well, I mean, again, that just still creates interest in, if you're playing in a different system, but you're playing in that world, it's like, okay, well, what about the second? Oh, I heard that Pathfinder has an edition made for this. Maybe that's better, right? For whatever else they're coming out with new, right? So like you play all the classic stuff in a new system, and then you go to second edition to Pathfinder to, I don't know. I feel like there's sort of a,
anyway, the whole thing is like good on Paizo to the extent that this means that they are just open to doing cool stuff with other companies. But then scratching my head, like, what is this? Like, what's really going on here? Like, why are we seeing this? I don't have any good answers. I don't know if it's good or bad for the industry, but I did think it was worth discussing and pointing out that Paizo seems to be like, hey, we have no shame. Let's do whatever. It doesn't matter. Because I feel that. Like, I feel that sort of vibe.
A couple comments from the chat from Daryl saying to the best of his knowledge, this was Pinnacle approaching Paizo to license the setting and content. And also mentioning they're not slouching on Pathfinder 2nd edition. They're just focusing on new content rather than updating older content. So
Well, cool.
thanks for that input, Daryl. Daryl writes for Ian World, so check out his column on there.
Yeah.
Feel free to throw a link in there, Daryl. We won't send the mod bots after you. I don't think we have any, actually.
We have a mod bot, and all we ever do is tell the mod bot to calm down.
Okay.
But anyway, that's going to be it for news this week. Again, if you've got some news items you'd like us to talk about, then go on over to our Discord server, shadowcasters.network/Discord. Drop them in there. News suggestions. We have a channel for it, and we'll talk about it on the show. Thank you guys, and we'll have some more news next week. All right. Let's talk about the stupid game.
Stupid game.
Hold on,
yeah, we got a
Barbershop
barbershop quartet.
Bum,
Yes,
bum, 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 bum. Stupid game.
The stupid game.
Yeah.
Game.
I mean,
Game.
all right.
Okay.
We're not doing this without a pitch pipe.
Yep.
Awesome. So the stupid game is the game where we do stupid stuff. We kind of gave you an intro right there. It's pretty stupid, but we do it for our patrons, and we let them get involved in all the stupid fun because they're our patrons. They support what we do here, and we appreciate it. So we put them with our appreciation. We put every week 3 or 4 of them in an arena together and let them fight to the death with only one person remaining. That's how we show our appreciation. This week is no different, and we're gonna get started. I'm gonna go ahead and describe the scene for us. Imagine it's the 1920s. You're outside on a busy city street or a small town city street, and there is a candy-striped barber pole, and inside a door opens, and a nice bell hanging on the door jangles, and inside is men getting a shave and having their haircuts, and outside is a barbershop quartet singing, and it's a beautiful scene. And of a small town, middle America in the 1920s.
Until you realize that the barbershop, the sign on the barbershop window is Arkham Barbershop.
And something is going to go horribly wrong any moment. With that, Oz, why don't you describe what goes horribly wrong first?
Sure. So the barbershop quartet, their beautiful lyrics start becoming more and more sinister as you listen, to the point where at first it's just their lyrics. Their lyrics become more unsettling about death and blood and gore and the chittering madness of the elder gods until their voices start to just become nothing but white noise of like faraway flutes. And the night settles on Arkham as a tentacle pops open the sewer grate right below the barbershop quartet, and it's been summoned a giant pipe-playing tentacly mass of eyeballs named Mana and Steel, who has arrived to growl and make noises that the human ear has never heard before.
Awesome.
Just squiggles out onto the street, and there's still more of it underneath in the sewers, but the mass is just taking up the street.
Just as that moment happens, from inside the barbershop, Alexander Shendy is giving a patron a nice close shave, and then he hears the retching mass coming from below the street, and this is the moment he's been waiting for, and he pushes the patron out of the way and run past him, and he's spinning in the chair behind him, shaving cream, flying off in all directions, and he runs out in the street and yanks off his apron, and underneath it is inexplicably hidden somehow by this apron is a blunderbuss. and he pulls it out and loads some cartridges into it and takes aim at the tentacled mass and says, "Not today!" So what's next up is Cliff.
All right, there's a sudden bolt of lightning out of the dark, cloudless sky, and right where the lightning strikes, as a guitar chord rings out with the last dissonant chord of the barbershop quartet before they descended into mad white noise flute music, is a really badass looking motorcycle with machine guns mounted on either side in the front next to the headlights, and sitting on top of that, revving the engines, wearing an all chrome head to toe motorcycle body armor with helmet, is Celian. On his back is crossed a katana and a submachine gun, and he revs the engine and starts heading into town, controlling the motorcycle with his knees. He draws a katana in one hand and a submachine gun in the other. I'm not sure how he's going to fire the ones in the front or steer later, but we'll figure that out later. Well, it depends on how good I roll.
And then finally, Opti.
Lightning flashes all around, coalesces with a flash and a bang along the city street, exploding the nearby barber pole. Once the flash and smoke clears, there's a crouched person, completely naked, except for the cyberware covering every single inch of their body. But this isn't just any cyberware. It's red. And it's red because it's recently been painted with red spray paint. Underneath the red spray paint is a mass of cyberware made of dragon scales. Red dragon scales.
Just keep up the intensity and seriousness. You got this.
To make the red even more intense, John Wesley Shull stands. His hands burst into deeply red flame. His cyber eyes light up an ungodly red color. Red blood spills from his skeletal skull-like mouth teeth.
Jesus Christ.
And he raises a single piece of clothing, which is a badass red bandana. He throws it to the ground and he challenges everyone to a duel by saying, "You've all made me mad as hell, and I'm only seeing one color. Yellow."
Oh, God.
Wait, the ending of his monologue is YOLO?
No.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Oh.
He's seeing yellow. It's a twist ending. Don't you get it?
Uh-huh.
Master,
It sounded like YOLO.
It
And I'm only
works.
seeing one color.
the king in YOLO.
Well, you know.
That's
That was-
fucking stupid.
That
All
was
right.
absurd.
Now we have to write a Call of Cthulhu
Rolling.
adventure called The King in YOLO.
All right, well,
I could make this zine, and it's just all red, and I'll call it yellow.
oh,
No,
man.
it has
Okay.
to be single color. Sorry.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It'll be all red,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it'll
Oh.
be called yellow.
Oh, okay, got it.
But how will you read the text?
The
If
white
it's
space.
I say we explained that we roll a d12 now. All of our people that are represented in this battle, which we have just introduced and described, they're all warrior status on our Patreon, which means they're all at an even playing field. Like that matters anyway. Of course it does. Please become a patron of a higher level and you'll get bonuses. Let's do it. Let's roll the dice and see what happens. It's a 12-sider and
Mm-hmm.
all right.
I rolled a 2.
Wow.
Yeah, so much for, Eldritch Horrors.
Not sure if this shows up in the camera, but I've got a 9.
Yep. I have an 8.
All right, well, at least John Wesley Shull is going to take his bandana and he's going to go beat the Eldritch Horror to death with a bandana. And then he's going to scoop it up and put it on his head. But unfortunately,
We're
in
just
doing
skipping
so,
over how he beat the hell out of it with a bandana, like that's just hand
That's not
waving.
This needs explanations.
the important part is that when he put it on his head, it was not red, and it leaked down all over his face, and it was a different color,
Uh-oh.
which drained all of his power, and now he stands powerless before the other two.
The different color being the color out of space.
Whatever color, it's not red.
It's not. It's a color no one knows.
Yeah,
Right.
It was a color he wasn't expecting.
Well, now he's easy. He's an easy target, and he's covered in this inexplicable color, which reminds Alexander Shendy, the blunderbuss barber, of his target, his quarry, which is he mistakes John Wesley Shull for the horror from below, and shoots him with his blunderbuss, and smoke goes everywhere, and he is struck right in the middle of the torso with a giant bullet,
Oh, with the winning dice roll here, it turns out that Siacilian can indeed steer his bicycle, steer his fancy motorbike without his hands, because it has its own little AI robot control, and it in the screen it flashes request lethal force, yes or no. And Siacilian just reaches down with his hand that's holding the katana and taps the button yes. And then the machine guns and the motorcycles start to bark. Their muzzle flashes lighting up the approach along with the headlights.
I know.
And barbershop quartet singers start to get just ripped apart by the gunshots and flying apart in bits, and Siacilian goes streaking through the town, firing along each of the buildings on the other side of the street with his offhand submachine gun, gunning down all sorts of horrors inside those. And as he approaches and swings past the last of the people standing in the street, Alexander Shendy, well, he puts the katana to work and doesn't even slow down. Shing!
Oh my gosh. For a moment, Alexander Shendy stands there thinking, what happened? He's gone. And everything's quiet. And then blood starts to drip from seemingly nowhere, from all around his neck, and his head just falls off.
The last scene is Siacilian riding out of town, going to meet a lightning bolt coming down from the sky. Is behind him in the background, a mushroom cloud rises up, consuming this horrible, defiled town in a radioactive explosion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just before the gate opened.
That happened as fast. It left as quickly as it came. That's it, guys. That's the
town.
Say what?
Cursed town.
Yeah. Well, that was the stupid game. Thank you for our patrons for patronizing us. and all of our patrons, but especially this week, Alexander Shendy, Siacilian, John Wesley Shaw, Mana, and Steel. All of you are great. We love you guys for supporting us.
Do.
And if you want to become a patron and you want to be part of the stupid game, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/shadowcasters and check it all out and help us out getting to the goals that we want to get to. Let's do it one more time, everybody. The stupid game.
Stupid game that's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not do that again.
No. No, clearly we need practice before we actually do this stuff. We can't just improv barbershop quartet.
Speak for yourself. I don't know what that means. I think we go ahead and do our Do you want to do the improvisational thing that we have, or do you want to do the video? I don't think I really have a preference. Let's do the video first. Why don't you set it up, Opti? Opti had an interview with none other than, well, why don't you set it up, sir?
I did an interview just this afternoon with two folks from Rem Alternis, one of which was in the chat not too long ago. And it is for an upcoming Kickstarter, which I believe launches February 2nd. I got my dates right. And it is for a project called Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus, I think. So, yeah, it looks like a fun thing. So let's get going. Let's get rolling.
All right, here it comes. We'll watch that interview. Sit tight, everybody, and hope you enjoy the content.
All right, thanks for being here with me today, everybody. I have two special guests, Danny and Sarah from Rem Alternis, and they are going to talk to me today about a project that is hitting Kickstarter on February 2nd, 2021, called Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus. Do I have that right, Danny?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Excellent, excellent. So I want to pump the heck out of this because I love Rem Alternis. You guys have been amazing to me personally, Fragging Unicorns, and great friends of the SCN. So Danny and Sarah, either or, you can choose who goes first. Can you tell me a little bit about this project? I know it's a graphic series, so explain what a graphic series is, and then explain to me what you're hoping to get in the Kickstarter.
Yeah, graphic series it just means it's like a comic book series, right? So we're gonna release issue 1. It's gonna be 28 pages, and then later we'll do an issue 2, issue 3, and it'll be a serialized story until we come to the end of the story arc. And that's as opposed to a graphic novel or something where it's just one release really thick.
Sure. Do you plan on releasing them physically or just electronic?
Yes, in print. So the Kickstarter is to get that in print, and to get a physical copy of the book and the artwork out to people, and to help build interest as we go forward, and to just really drive the ability to continue to produce the comics as they go.
Okay, one issue at a time, or are you funding the whole entire graphic novel?
One issue at a time.
Cool.
That said, and I don't know, maybe this is maybe this isn't the safest thing to say, because then people might be like, well, why do I have to? But this is happening whether people want to jump in or not. Like, this is a story I want to tell, and so it's if it's at my pace, like the pace that I funded at, then it'll take longer. But if I can get people, if people like it and they want to get in on it and help me create the world and everything else, it'll just be that much faster.
Awesome. So tell me about what the comic is actually about. Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus. That's a mouthful to say, but it looks like a fun concept. I've seen the first issue, or the rough draft of the first issue, and I'm enjoying it immensely. But tell everybody else sort of what it's about.
Yeah, so it's at the core, it's a steampunk setting. So that's where the name comes from. Steampunk tends to take a lot of those sort of older style sort of names and kind of puts them together. Gertrude and so we have the Lady Coddlesworth, and she has a clockwork circus, which travels around the world, from place to place where they do their circus thing. And the story starts off. It's not focused on them to start. It's focused on these two halflings. And the two halflings are coming from a continent that has just sort of, it's like the reappearance of Atlantis, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's just a regular sort of steampunk world. There's been this section of the world that no one's ever been able to go to. It's just been surrounded by a storm, and then one day the storm it fades away. No one knows why. There's a continent under there, and people do what people do. What's that? And they all go over there. And so these two halflings, they want to see what's out in the world, and so they travel out. And then in the first issue of the series, they are going to, strangers in a strange land. They're walking around, they're trying to figure it out, and they meet up with the circus, and they have some special abilities, and they also have an interesting story. And the circus actually has an interesting story thing going on with them too, and so they kind of just come together, and the two halflings kind of join their circus family, and that's the rest of the series is going to follow that. And as we follow that story, we're going to delve into the mysteries of why there was no magic, what was going on with this continent, why was it shrouded by the storm, and what does that mean for the world on a higher scale.
So steampunk and magic and circus folk is what I'm gaining.
And yes, and clockwork robots and stuff, and and magic. And
yeah, I'd say, just for the sound bites, kind of how I think of it is Alphys is this steampunk world. There's a continent that has been hidden for however long under this tempest, and as soon as that tempest dissipates, there's the discovery of that continent, but also because maybe of that storm, magic has come into the steampunk world, where it hasn't been. So you've got your fantasy, you've got your steampunk, you've got these different races that we're familiar with, dragonborn, halflings, and stuff like that. But now elves are in the first time, and And so there's just kind of this expansion and this different look at fantasy and mixing in that steam.
Nice. It seems like a something that the fans of our show would be totally into, right? It's like
Yeah.
Shadowrun adjacent almost. So
Right.
that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so what kind of things have influenced the design and development? Like, what got you to the point where you're like, you know what I want to do is I want to make a steampunk magic comic book.
Right. So, following the rule of there's nothing new, there's just new ways to put everything together. So I've always been intrigued by the steampunk sort of aesthetic. It is one that I'm really drawn to. I like the style. I like the ideas of sort of like trying to put together tech, but using stuff from our past to kind of make this futuristic thing happen.
Sure.
And so, I have that. I have stories that I played in the past, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, other settings, and so like the halflings and some of the story of this continent come from like some of those older stories that I've played in before. And then, I mean, I write for Shadowrun, so the idea of like a world where magic doesn't exist, but then kind of coming in, and what does that do to the world?
Right.
That's a very interesting story. Period. I mean, it just is. I mean, what if magic came into our world and suddenly I could snap my fingers and shoot lightning or something? That would
We're all
that's
waiting.
an interesting story. Yeah,
We're all waiting for that day.
we're all waiting
so-
for the sixth world.
So I noticed right away when you sent me the preview, I knew right away who was doing the art because it's Slobodan Jovanovic, and he's done a lot of stuff for me, and I love him. So who's doing the writing?
The writing is all me right now. And I say right now, I'm if there's folks that come in and have good ideas and everything, I'm open to collaboration. The world is still being built. I'm spending a lot of time on that and putting everything together. And so yeah, I'm down for any sort of collaboration with folks who want to come in and assist. But right now it's me doing all the writing. And then we haven't done color yet, but I have done a couple of proof of concepts for color with the colorist Kurt Russell, but not that Kurt Russell. And they've looked really good. So going forward, unless something changes, probably when we go to color, that is going to we'll probably use Kurt Russell as our colorist.
One of the things that really excited me about Danny's ideas and everything, that as he was putting this world together and as he started actually mapping it out, which he's paid a cartographer to map out this world, he realizes and gets more excited because he realizes how big he made this world. It's actually larger than ours in terms of Earth's circumference and and everything that goes with it. So I think as Danny started realizing that, he started saying, "Oh gosh, all of this world is up to me to create." And so engaging our community in Rem Alternus and other spaces to be able to say, "Come on in and like, what is the lore of the elves? Where do they come from? Who are they? Who do they worship? What's their pantheon look like? What is?" There's just so much to create when you're. And so I love Danny's willingness to open that up and not be the only one that's in on it, but say, "Hey, come create this with me and let's build this together." So you're not only, by supporting this Kickstarter, you're not only getting a first issue of a graphic novel, but if you really are into the genre and the world that we're creating, then you can be part of that and you can help grow as well.
And so since the world is being created like this, right? And we're probably not going to see all of it in this comic book, right? Comic books are pretty limited in what you're able to see. Are you going to have plans for like expansion into other media? Like, for example, I was going to mention this later, but I know that on Sundays you're doing an actual play, like a D&D 5th edition actual play. Remind me what it's called. It's called
Like Clockwork.
Like Clockwork, yes. And that's, I think, 7 to 10 Central, I believe, with another one of my favorite people, Randy
Alvarenga.
Thank you. But yeah, he's awesome, and you guys are doing that stream. So do you have plans to expand this beyond the comic, or is the comic basically just going to be the focus from here on out?
Yeah, so I mean, my storytelling background is in role-playing games. It always has been. 9 years old is when I got the red box, and when your peers are all 9 years old, you got the red box.
Yeah,
you're the only one with the red box, and so you're the one who's going to be telling the really crazy and silly stories that we told. But yeah, so and that's that's 30 plus years ago, and all of my storytelling is rooted in Dungeons and Dragons and world building, and how often there's so many worlds out there that we see in television and movies, and we think, man, that would be a great setting for Dungeons and Dragons. That would be a great setting for GURPS. That would be, and so I wanted to make sure that this was accessible to people. And so the live stream is a parallel story to the comic. So they're happening at about the same time, and the things that are happening in both of those stories are going to impact the other in certain ways, and also are both going to kind of come to this place at the end where it kind of just explains, okay, this is what was going on and this is why. And then everything that we're doing is going to be at the end. I want to package it all together and make it available as a an open source gaming license supplement for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Yeah, so planning ahead so that if people love the comic, they can play in the world.
Yes, and so one of our stretch goals for the comic is going to be getting everything together so that I can give you the comic and I can give you everything you need to play in that setting for that issue of the comic, the city Merkudashta.
Fantastic. I was going to ask about that. Are there any stretch goals that you want to mention?
The first stretch goal is color. So I want to get the story out. I want to get rolling. I want to get working. But it does cost money, and so hopefully, if we can get enough people to get the comic and then get enough interest to go to the next level, we can get it in color. If not, then we'll eventually, when we do an omnibus or whatever, we'll make sure we get color. Color's going to happen, but again, I'd like to get the color out as fast as possible. We have the gaming accessories that we were talking about, and so that's all the tokens for major characters and guards and stuff like that. Map of the city, the major locations, few extra monsters and stuff that might show up that are for the world. And yeah, I said tokens already for everything. We've got this brilliant guy who does the tokens. His name is Bernardo, and they're gorgeous. They're big when he sends them so that they can have all the detail, and I'm just blown away every time. So I'm really excited to have him working with us on this as well. Yeah. And what else do we have, Sarah?
So we also have a couple of collectible items. So depending on how much this takes off, and like really commemorating that this is something that we're building together as we're thinking about stretch goals, like an alternate special edition cover, trading cards, things that you can collect for that. But also we want to watch like what is it that people are most excited about and save that for higher level. So if people, are excited about the graphic series, but they're really taking to like Clockwork, then maybe we'll do maps and tokens and a pack and stuff like that for the like Clockwork characters, or maybe we'll do little short story prequels for each of those characters, or maybe so we really want to see where the interest is and what part of Kael'thas they really are falling in love with, and make that accessible to audiences.
Fantastic. I know that I will be backing, and I'm excited because I love everybody involved. There you have it, backed by Rem Alternus. We are going to see the Kickstarter launch for Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus, a graphic series, and that's going to be February 2nd, 2021. And in the meantime, if you want to check out more in that universe and kind of see where this is headed, you can go to Like Clockwork, which is on Sundays, 7 to 10 Central Time, and you can get all of your 5e D&D steampunk goodness. So, anything else? Any last parting shots?
Join the mailing list to make sure that you get all the updates on what's coming with Coddlesworth and with Like Clockwork and any of the other projects that we go ahead with.
I was just gonna say, hey, come check us out. On Sunday nights, we're also about a 5-day turnaround to get it onto YouTube, I think. So you can catch up, and then there's only one to catch up on, and then watch tonight, or I guess tonight won't be tonight when you see this. But
tonight will be tonight, but it's exactly the same time that we'll be going live.
All right. Well,
so it will be up on YouTube though, if you want to see it.
Yes, it'll be up on YouTube. And it'll always be up on YouTube. And if you watch it YouTube instead of Twitch, hey, we love it. That's great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Danny and Sarah, thank you guys so much for being here on the show. And I will be backing, and I hope everybody else does too. Let's see this thing get funded first day.
Awesome. Thank you
That'd be
so
great.
much, Opti.
All right.
Thanks
Take care.
so much.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And let's get on to the next thing. So, Cliff, you've got something cool in store for us today, I think. Won't you talk about lasers and feelings?
Yeah, lately I've been intrigued by the idea of single-page RPGs. There have been a number of them that have been posted largely within the indie scene, and it just got me thinking, are these full role-playing games? What are they like? Are they fun? And after looking around for a bit, I thought Lasers and Feelings would be a great place to get started with them. So with that, Lasers and Feelings is a one-page RPG, and it's a true one-page RPG. They don't even do the both sides of the page printing thing. It's just one side of one page of an RPG, and it's called Lasers and Feelings: the Double Clicks Tribute RPG, and it's by John Harper, which is a rather familiar-sounding name. Those of you who are unfamiliar, he created Blades in the Dark, and I'm sure has done lots of other cool things. Mm-hmm. But who are the Double Clicks? Well, they're a nerdy folk pop music group, and one of their albums is titled Lasers and Feelings.
Oh, okay.
Check out their stuff at www.thedoubleclicks.com. So, on focusing on the game, though, from the website, I'm going to read this. It says, "You are the crew of the interstellar scout ship Raptor. Your mission is to explore uncharted regions of space, deal with aliens both friendly and deadly, and defend the consortium worlds against space dangers. Captain Darcy has been overcome by the strange psychic entity known as Something Else, leaving you to fend for yourselves while he recovers in a medical pod. What happens next? Play to find out." So I think this makes a great example of a one-page RPG for quite a few reasons. One of which, if you actually look at the image of the PDF, and you can get it as a free download off of their website, just Google Lasers and Feelings, you'll find it. Or it's I'll give the link. It's www.17design.com. That's all letters, not spelled out, or it is spelled out, no numerals, I should say. So www.17design.com/laserfeelings. And if you happen to be looking at the PDF with me, it just has a really nice, clean layout and design. It's not crammed with too much text so that you can't really get to and read what's going on. They didn't just try to put as much in here as they possibly could. They even left space for like a really large, cool logo for the Lasers and Feelings Dam, and a drawing of a spaceship and some little blue hearts around, a nice big table on the side. It's got a nice look to it. It doesn't look like you're looking at a giant wall of text. And I think that's something that's fairly important with a one-page RPG, so that you're not just overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff on the page. It looks cool, and the overall aesthetic kind of helps to serve to communicate to you what the game's about, which is pretty important because you've got to communicate a lot with that one page. Something else that I think makes this work really well as a single-page RPG is it has a very specific, narrow, defined purpose. It's campy sci-fi starship adventures and misadventures, but it's not like trying to give you a whole tool set to stimulate an entire world and the full breadth and depth of human and other experience. It's just doing one job. And I think that's something where it succeeds as a one-page RPG. The rules themselves are very simple and efficient. You have every character has one stat. You choose a number from 2 to 5. When you do something, you roll a d6. And if you're trying a lasers action, which has to do with not just shooting lasers, but things like science and reason and calm, logic, thought, you need to roll under your stat. If you're trying a feelings action, which is all the other stuff, passion, action, bravado, etc., you need to roll over. Sometimes you get to roll more than one die, and the more dice that succeed, the better for you. And the other fun rule is if you happen to roll exactly what your stat is, you have laser feelings. It counts as a success, and you get to ask the GM a question that they have to answer honestly. All on this one page, there's character creation rules, ship creation rules, tables for generating adventure, and a paragraph for how to game master the game with some great general GM advice for running any game. I'll just use this quote here. The situation always changes after a roll, for good or ill. I like that, and that's good for taking away to other games. Overall, I think Laces and Feelings is a great example of what a one-page RPG can accomplish. It seems to cover all the bases that are needed, giving you enough to get started without feeling like there's a lot unexplained. But I thought maybe the real test of Laces and Feelings as a one-page RPG might be giving it a shot. What do you say? You all ready to play this game with me?
What?
Wow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to do a lightning round of Lasers and Feelings. There's going to be a time limit on this, and I'm going to work that into the story. So I hope all of you have access to the PDF here. A D6, because we're going to make the rolls quick and fast.
Okay.
Let's go through
Got
character creation. First thing, we're going to do this quick and fast. Don't spend any extra time thinking on these. Just go off the cuff. And that's how we're going to do this whole thing. So, Bobby
Yes.
and Opti and Oz, choose a style for your character. Alien, android, dangerous, heroic, hotshot, intrepid, or savvy.
Dangerous.
Android.
Hotshot.
All right. Remember that. Write it down or something. Next, choose a role for your character. Doctor, envoy, engineer, explorer, pilot, scientist, or soldier.
Doctor. I'm a dangerous doctor. Alliteration.
All right. Since you're dangerous, I'm going to start the 10-minute timer now, even though we haven't even started playing yet.
Oh my god.
Okay, next.
Envoy. I'm gonna hotshot envoy.
Hotshot envoy. Oz, did you pick one?
No, I didn't. I will go soldier.
Okay. Remember those. Last stat here. Choose your number from 2 to 5. A high number means you're better at lasers, which is the thinking stuff. A low number means you're better at feelings, which is the not thinking stuff.
I'm
So,
gonna
number
go
2 to 5.
Any number from 2 to 5?
Yep, you can pick it.
I'll go 4. I'll go 4.
Definitely going with 5. I definitely want to be better at lasers.
Two.
Opti a 2. All right, awesome. Now,
Feelings.
give your character a cool space adventure name like Sparks McGee or something. Don't care so much about that. Well, you can just use your own names. But if you come up with something cool, your gear, you have a consortium uniform with built-in vac suit for spacewalks, a super sweet space phone camera communicator scanner thing with universal translator, and a variable beam phase pistol, usually set to stun. There's a
Not
character
bad.
goal here, but I'm just going to skip that because we're getting into it. We have less than 9 minutes left. I'm going to be the GM. Last thing to do is you need to create the ship. As a group, pick 2 strengths for the Raptor. Fast, nimble, well-armed, powerful shields, superior sensors, cloak and device, or fighters.
Sensors. Superior sensors.
Superior
Cloaking
sensors
device.
and cloaking device. Got it. All right. Now pick one problem. Fuel hog, only one medical pod and the captain's in it, horrible circuit breakers, or grim reputation.
Only one medical pod, clearly.
Okay. And the captain's in it. All right. Awesome. So now I'm going to generate the adventure. Thing I'm going to say is the adventure must be completed in less than 10 minutes, now almost less than 8, or else. So first of all, Zorgon the Conqueror wants to build or synthesize the quantum tunnel, which will rip a hole in reality.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Captain Darcy just got the report, just gave you the briefing. You just dropped out of warp in the system. Zorgon the Conqueror is synthesizing the quantum tunnel within. It's already well underway, and his spaceships his fleet is already there protecting it defending it from there. It's way too much firepower for you to get through at once. Captain Darcy says, I know just what to do. And then his head explodes.
Oh, and I'm, of course, being the doctor.
Just put him in the medical pod. Yeah, go ahead.
Being the doctor, of course, it just exploded all over me because I was there complaining about how we only have one medical pod, and if only we could have another one, then all these other people who work for us would, on the ship, the crew, would not be suffering and or dying.
We don't have time for your complaints. The reality is about to be ripped apart.
In just over 7 minutes.
Well, what are we going to do then? Let's do something dangerous.
I'm wondering if maybe we can't use this reality unwinding to our advantage.
Maybe to bring back the captain because we're captainless now.
That's right. Maybe.
We don't have time.
Maybe in the reality that comes after.
Well, the medical pod will take care of that, but it's going to take hours to synthesize him a new head. You don't have time for something like that.
But if we could drive straight into the reality wormhole thing, maybe it could happen faster. That sounds dangerous.
You better act fast because the computer's voice speaks over the comm saying, quantum tunnel nearly complete. Hole in a reality created in 6 minutes, 25 seconds.
I think I will be able to reach Zorgon the Conqueror if I can just appeal to his sense of fairness.
And
Quick.
if not, I will shoot him.
Yeah, quick, Android Oz, open a communications to the Zorgon.
All right.
Beep beep boop boop.
Make a roll for that. What was your expertise? Your role?
I'm a soldier.
Soldier? Okay, that's not a thing you have specials. Just roll one die.
Okay.
You were, you were a 5.
It's a lasers roll? Then I rolled below my lasers. I'm good.
You got one success. You barely manage it. So you succeed. The complication is, okay, the success is that you get Zorgon on the comms. The drawback is you got Zorgon on the comms. His image appears on the screen. Ha ha, Captain Darcy, we meet again. What? Who's this? I thought I was answering a hail from Captain Darcy, my nemesis.
You're speaking to Dr. Bob, ship's doctor.
I don't know why you're speaking to the ship's doctor. He's just a doctor.
I'm not.
Let me take over here, doctor. Hey, Zorgon, baby. This is Spark Fly Squawker, and I think you and I can work out some sort of a deal. Do you have a minute?
I have approximately 5 minutes.
That's all we're going to need because, baby, I think that you and me could take a trip down memory lane. Remember that girlfriend that you had in 3rd grade? What was her name?
No, but let's have a long, drawn-out conversation about her. Go ahead and roll your feelings roll. Let's see. That's the thing you're good at. So you roll 2 dice, and it sounds like you're prepared as well. So you get to roll an extra one. So 3 dice, which is the most you ever get to roll. And you wanted to roll above your number.
That was plenty. That's a 13.
No, each die.
Sorry. Well, 5 and 5 and 3. They're all good.
Okay, none of them equal. You got 3 successes. You get a critical success.
Wow.
You get some extra effect. So Zorgon says, I like talking with you. Maybe when this is all over and the reality hole has been created, I might be able to use some additional henchmen. It depends on how many people survive. I'm listening. What sort of deal do you have in mind?
Yeah, about that. So what sort of new reality are we going to be creating here?
So as you're talking, one of you on looking on sensors happens to notice that there are 3 incoming blips. Some of the attack ships have broken off from the fleet guarding the quantum tunnel construction, which is nearly complete.
Excellent. Activating cloaking device. We're taking our opportunity to board.
Okay, go ahead and make your lasers roll for that.
Okay. Would you consider me an expert on cloaking?
Sure, I'll be
Android.
nice.
Okay. I got 1 success. No,
One
sorry,
success.
2. This is lasers,
2,
right?
okay. You do it
Yes.
well. Good job. You activate the cloaking device, and Zorgon reacts, huh, what's that? You just disappeared off the screen. What's going on here? What would you like to do, Bobby?
I'm going to see if I can use my scanners, the scanners, to somehow ascertain the if there are any ailments or biological flaws in this alien's life force. I don't know what you call life.
Okay, scanning for life forms and weaknesses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll your. I think You roll 2 dice for this then.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like you're prepared, but you do have you're an expert in this sort of thing.
I got a 1, 3, and a 6.
Okay, you want to go at under, so you got under on 2 of those.
Yes.
You succeed. Good job. What advantage were you hoping to accomplish with that?
I'm trying to see if I can determine some sort of a flaw that I can talk him into thinking that opening up a quantum tunnel will like if he has a heart problem, maybe I can convince him that that a quantum tunnel is going to exacerbate his heart problem.
Okay, yeah, you actually do a scan and confirm that, oh my gosh, Zorgon is actually secretly a Norgot.
Oh
And
my
Norgots
God.
are actually incredibly allergic to quantum inconsistencies. And you're fairly certain that a quantum tunnel powerful enough to tear a hole in reality would create all manner of quantum inconsistencies. As a matter of fact, you happen to notice like parts of his skin is bubbling and he's blowing his nose a lot on the comms. You have like less than a minute and a half to get through to him.
Listen, Zorgon, we activated our cloaking device because that's the only thing that we could do to diminish the quantum effects of the tunnel you're opening on to keep it from amplifying the effects that... Look at your skin. Do you see what's happening? You know that you are... I know your secret, and the thing that you actually are is allergic to quantum things, and you need to cool your jets.
All right. It sounds like you're trying to use feelings. So go ahead and entreaty Zorgon with, I think, 2 dice. 1 die for base, and then plus the 1 die for being prepared. Not the expert die, though, because that's... Talking is not the...
No, it's not my expertise.
I'm a doctor, not an envoy. Roll it. You got less than...
I got
you
2
just over 30
4s. 2
seconds.
4s. 2 4s.
Okay. You succeed. Zorgon says, what? No. How did you find out? But... No, what? I'm detecting quantum inconsistency. This blasted sneeze! You! How? You actually helped me out! This really... thank you! He cuts the comm and you see the quantum tunnel begins to shut down and the resulting emergency collapse from the immediate shutdown of it causes massive explosions, destroying half of Zorgon's fleet. The other half escapes into warp space as he sends the message back saying, curse you! I mean, thank you! See you next time I try to destroy or tear holes in reality. That was really solid of you. I don't know what to think now. Bye.
We should have cocktails.
He did promise me to bring me into his organization.
Well, men, we saved the
there
galaxy
will be
yet again.
Yeah, there will be an email from Zorgon's HR department waiting for Skip the Sky Raider, or whatever you said your name was.
I look forward to being conquered.
All right, so yeah, that was 10 minutes, counting half of the characterization process and the ship. I think that was fun.
So let it be known that this game can be played by 4 people. At least 3 of them never played it before in 10 minutes. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it'd be nice to play it out a little bit longer with a little bit more time and get into some of the more role play aspects and have people just come up with all these other ideas for things. I had fun coming up with something like the idea that the medical pod would print the Captain a New Head in a few hours.
Yeah, great. That's great. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
The actual adventure I rolled on the table as we were speaking. That's why I paused during those times. I was rolling a die and consulting the table. So, but yeah, altogether, I think this was a lot of fun. I think it's a really great example of a single-page RPG, and I think there might be other ways to approach creating a single-page RPG, but following the some of the basic rundowns here of making a simple but efficient system that does multiple things at once with a single die roll. I think that was really cool. Mm-hmm. Having lots of flavor just built into the presentation, but also having the game being something very specific. So you're not trying to do all sorts of different stuff with it because all you have is 1 page for the rules, right?
Yes.
I did find a single page RPG that tried to be like the everything RPG, and it was just like columns of text and maybe not as useful, but this I thought worked well.
I liked how we had sort of a singular like trait to think about, because it really helped me focus in terms of role playing. You know, like you had that one word trait, like, and that's who you are.
Yeah. No, I love one-page RPGs. I mean, they're just so quick and simple, and just set them up and go, and you know, it's great. I mean, and we had a couple of other examples of one-pagers here. I know that we played Agents of Hue by Nathan Blades, which was an absolute blast. We played 2 sessions of it because it was so good. So yeah, definitely go check that out as well.
Well, Cliff,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to try out more one-page RPGs and comparing them, see how they play out, and yeah, just having fun, because it's just a real quick, fun, off-the-cuff. Probably better for sillier experiences than more serious ones, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Cliff. That's awesome.
Thanks for playing it with me.
All right. Well, you know what? We normally do a Q&A, but we had some really beefy content this time, so I'm going to say that we're going to do some Q&A in the post-show, so those of you live get to hang out for us for that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye, and let me do this first to do that. All right, well, that's the end of the show. Thank you guys very much. Like I said, we're going to hang out in the post-show and answer some questions that we got on Discord. If you want to support the show and help us keep going and do what we're going to do, consider being a patron. Go to patreon.com/shadowcasters. Also, if you do that, speaking of the post-show and Q&A, we have a patron-only, like patron questions for the show channel on our Discord, and you can put your questions there, and we draw questions from there first. So you get priority, basically. And yeah, come listen to us live. We're live Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can hang out for the pre-show and the post-show. So until then, say goodbye, everybody, because we're gonna move on and be back next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody, because we're going to move on. Be back next week.
That was a mouthful, but you got it. You nailed it. All right, we'll see you guys. Yeah. It's post-show time. Here's how we start post-show. You ready? It goes like this.
Punk ass bitch.
All right. Did you guys hear it that time?
No.
Nope.
Really?
I heard the beginning of Punk, so I know it's Opti saying punk ass bitch.
You heard the beginning of it? Was it like through my headphones or something?
I don't know. It's just it sounded really crackly.
I'm going.
I did hear a little bit of something in the beginning there, too.
I wonder. I'm going to troubleshoot this right now since we're not doing the thing
On our post show. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome content.
Talk and entertain people.
Okay, sure. So multiple things, right? So we spoke about one-page RPGs just now, and had a blast playing in 10 minutes. I really liked this concept of like, let's do a very quick lightning round game of something, right? And just feeling something out. Like, I wonder if maybe that's something that we should consider doing moving forward, like with any
a regular segment.
Yeah, any regular segments where we like talk about an RPG where where it's like realistic, like we can get through it really quick. I think that would be really cool.
It would have to be a pretty
a one-page RPG.
It'll work for some things and not others, I'm sure.
For sure.
But yeah, it worked well with this, I thought.
Because it's got to be fast for it to be on the show. You know?
Or alternatively, if you can have pre-gens that are really cool, we might be able to do like one little combat round.
Or we could just do multiple lasers and feelings ones and see what we come up with every week and what happens with the crew.
That would be kind of fun.
If we only had so much more time.
Yeah.
Set some ground rules, like the doctor doesn't try to do the influence roll.
Although, you know what? It might be interesting to get...
what else was I going to do as a doctor?
Anyway.
Anyway.
Each one comes Bobby's like, I got this. I'm a doctor.
I'll just sit here in the background since there's no one to doctor.
That was genius. That was a fantastic way of doing it. Yeah, we can also get that book, the 40 micro RPGs, and give that a shot.
That would be fun. Can you hear this now?
Punk ass bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I figured out what it was. It's just Discord's noise suppression is too good. It just it thought Opti's voice on my soundboard was just noise.
Fair enough.
It's not wrong.
All right. Let's do a question or two at least during the post show. Let's see. You know what that does? Oh my God! You know what this lasers and feelings idea that you said about that you were commenting, Cliff, about? Let's see what happens with the crew. Gave me another idea if we ever get tired of the stupid game, which, you know, will that ever happen?
What?
No, just listen to my idea. I'm not making a proposal per se. It just popped into my head. Wouldn't this be fun? If we did have like 10-minute sessions of an RPG every episode, like that was a running thing with our characters, and each time we had different patrons who were like, who made like bit appearances in our.
No. What about we could make this the stupid game. Like, we could have one of our patrons, we could be role-playing as one of our patrons, like we normally do, just as a character in this
Lasers and Feelings.
And I promise you, it'll be just as stupid.
That's true. It's not a bad idea. We're going to workshop that. We're going to think about it, I think. All right.
See, now I just want to buy that. I definitely want to buy that now, that 40 page.
Because one thing that I do think the stupid game is lacking is that we spend all of our time amazingly describing things, which is I love it. I'm not but I wish there was more like interaction and role play, you know? That would be fun. So
I agree. Yeah, I think it's time to switch it up.
Stupid game is a one-page RPG.
Maybe it's time to elevate the stupid game a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we need
stupid
to
game 2.0.
enter the stupid game into Scene Quest.
Second edition.
We need to make stupid game one-page RPG. That's what we need to do.
I mean, we'd always spoken like, you know, the stupid game would evolve over time, right? And
yeah,
so we
of course.
as we get more and more into it and like really feel it out. So yeah, I think this is a great way of doing it.
All right, you heard it.
It could be different one-page RPGs even, because we like to change the setting all the time, so we could just have a one-page RPG.
A great time for doing that would be on the first episode that we actually launch as the podcast. So
yeah.
All right, we got a question. I'm going to start with a question from. I'm going to do the question from because this is a fun one. Or maybe should I save the fun one from Daryl for like an actual episode?
No, I think you should do the fun one, because the other ones, the Shadowrun questions, I think those are going to make a good video segment.
So we saved the Shadowrun questions for the next episode. Okay.
Yes.
So Daryl asked in Discord, so you've been given a 200 million
Yeah.
You've been given a $200 million budget, and any talent you want is available to make a film or Netflix/HBO style miniseries, but it must be based on a published RPG adventure. What adventure do you pick, and what is your movie like? First of all, I'd like to go ahead and say either Paranoia or no, you know what? I was gonna say Fiasco, but there are like a Coen Brothers movie is basically Fiasco, right?
And Fiasco isn't really an adventure so much as like a toolbox, right?
Sure, yeah, okay. So
Paranoia at least has some adventures.
Yeah, you're right. So I say Paranoia. I would love to see a series. It would star what's his name from Oh Brother Where Art Thou? I'm terrible with acting
George
names.
Clooney?
George Clooney. It would star George Clooney. And maybe Brad Pitt too. Cuz they're like really great like you know what I mean? They've come into their own as like really great like comedic but serious actors. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. They will take the situation very seriously.
Yes, exactly. But it would be hilarious.
But it's a very stupid.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So you liked Burn After Reading? I didn't see.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yep. That's mine. Paranoia.
So I was gonna say the Shadowrun. What was it called? The Renraku one, or the Renraku Shutdown?
Okay.
But now that you said Paranoia, I'm like, nah, Paranoia would be so much more fun.
And with a $200 million budget, you can do lots of great special effects that show would need. Paranoia. You know?
Yeah, all the different ways of like swooping, a new clone back into the mix.
But it would have to be like good special effects, but it would have to have that somehow. I don't know how movie makers pull this off, but it would have to have that like something that makes it feel like an 80s movie. I feel like an 80s
100%.
sci-fi movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed.
What about you, Cliff or Opti?
Give me one more minute. I'm almost done.
Oh, he's right.
He's
He's
preparing
jotting
something.
ideas.
But
when Rocco Arcology shut
Yeah,
down, the reason
elaborate on
I
that.
was going to present that one was because it's a great high budget thing to go for. There's lots of good twists and turns, and plus it's Shadowrun. You get to, you can make bright but better.
What did it specify? Did it have to be tabletop RPG?
Yes.
It just said published RPG adventure.
So computer game doesn't count. Computer RPG.
I mean,
Right.
you could count that as it's published adventure, right?
Yeah.
It's just published in computer games.
So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat
Go
and
for
say
it.
that I want a very long form Knights of the Old Republic with Keanu Reeves as Darth Revan.
Pretty good. I could get behind that. That was some Star Wars lore when it was like really wicked awesome.
The showrunners for Game of Thrones were hired by Disney to make, I believe it was like a 3-film trilogy, but it all kind of fell apart after Game of Thrones.
Fell apart.
Finished. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with low-hanging fruit here and grab something Shadowrun.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Adventure Dream Chipper because it's got all sorts of options for just different settings, corporate intrigue, double crossing back and forth. And if you're familiar with the Adventure, the idea is that a corporation's been designing these improved skill chips, except they also replace your personality. And for some reason, they made one coded with Cleopatra, which kind of makes sense. But the other ones are Genghis Khan and Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
So they got stolen.
Good
and
idea, guys.
Now there's a Genghis Khan, a Jack the Ripper, and a Cleopatra out in the world. And you have to chase them down and get the chips away from them. And they don't want you to. So lots of fun stuff. The ensemble cast would be Billy D. Williams playing the team's Decker. Janine Garofalo is the street samurai. She's always grumpy. The team's face is a washed up Shadowrunner back for one last job, played by Bruce Campbell. And the team's rigger is played by Dolly Parton.
That's
I don't know who the director is. I don't know directors well enough to pick one that fits my idea for this. But yeah, think just like, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, lots of fun, back and forth, good ensemble cast, funny acting, a la like Mystery Man or Ocean's 11, but with just some over-the-top, like 2050s era Shadowrun craziness. And Dolly Parton showing in to get people the hell out of the worst trouble with the getaway ride.
Yeah.
Or showing up with the drones or the helicopter, whatever.
There's
Dolly
got to be a
Parton
musical
has the
number.
rigor, right? Oh yeah, it has like 9 to 5 playing in the background as everyone's jumping in the car and riding away from the cops, gunning down the Lone Star Yellow Jackets, chasing them through the streets.
Nice.
Janine Garofalo bitching about Bruce Campbell's misstep that got the guards all on him, and Billy D. Williams trying to play off those alarms that he didn't manage to get turned off in time. I don't know. I just think it would be fun.
Janine Garofalo. I really miss her.
Oh,
What's she
me
been
too.
doing lately?
Stuff. I think she has a show or something she's been doing, like a talk show thing. But
Yeah, she
I
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to
disappeared.
such things.
I like the idea that the one who's retired and coming back for one last job isn't the oldest one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like, he's
Dolly
like a
Parton's
young,
never gonna retire.
he like comes back in and he's like, all right, kids. And they're just like, oh, we're so glad you could make it. We looked up
But
to you
you've
back
got
in the day.
Dolly Parton
so-
and Billy D. Williams.
So glad you could join us, Shug.
Like Billy D's like playing a video game in the background and Dolly Parton's on Tinder or whatever. Like, just like fucking what?
Oh my god.
Who did direct Mystery Men? That'd be great. Ben
Yeah,
that
whoever
wasn't
that
something
is,
that Ben
that's-
Stiller directed, is it? No, I don't
I don't
think
know,
so.
but it was awesome.
Yes, it's one of my favorite movies.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
And I will watch
love it.
anything with Jean Garofalo in it.
I have had forgotten about her completely until you mentioned her. She was great, yeah.
Listen to this. Kinka Usher is a director of television commercials. He also directed the 1999 feature film Mystery Men. Bam.
Is that his like one line Wikipedia? Wow.
Well, I
where
guess
do they
he's for
pull
hire.
him? They're just
He'll be-
like, I like your commercials. You should direct
Hey,
our
you
movie.
got some commercial class. We got the
That's
Yeah,
really
well,
cool.
apparently I won't have to devote too much of that $200 million budget to pick up the director then. I'll be eager for the work. No, I shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe commercial directors make even more money. I don't know.
They
Oh
might.
my god, Maya Rudolph though in that Paranoia movie.
I never saw that. So.
No,
I
I'm
do
saying,
like my. Oh, and my.
that's what I'm saying, for
Paranoia.
the Paranoia
Maya
movie.
Rudolph is great. I love her.
Oh yes, yes. Oh, good. Okay, all right. We need to make this happen.
and the Paranoia movie would work with like an SNL style cast, right? So
Yeah.
like that kind of over the top kind of a thing. So I'm here for that. Good question,
Actually-
Daryl.
I actually wanted to make a Paranoia web series back in college. It didn't go anywhere, but I really wanted to do it.
Oh, here's one more thing about my series. Janine Garofalo happens to be the youngest among them, but she's the one who's always acting like she's too old for this shit. That's her. That's her catch line.
Too old for this shit. Yeah.
I would watch that. I would watch that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to write up a treatment. Get this to Hollywood. Well, I think that's it. Unless any of you guys have anything else, I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
Just the one more
I'm
thing.
getting too old for this shit.
Yeah. What is it, Clip?
Tuesday, Mech Warrior Destiny Episode 8. It is the season or / series or whatever. The finale. There's a big epic battle. They're
Yes.
Outnumbered, outgunned. The more donations you get, the more help the townsfolk will provide. And if you don't donate enough, they'll screw them over and betray them. So we're raising funds for world builders. So go ahead and any super chats that we get through that stream get passed along to world builders. Also, just check out the charity worldbuilders.org. It's a good one. Consider
Yeah.
just donating anyway because they're awesome.
Yeah, we've
But,
worked with them before. We love that charity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so check that out. Tuesday, it would be 9 to 11 Eastern, so same general time frame as this show, with a little bit of an after show. I think we'll go a little late, being the last battle, but it's going to be exciting and climactic.
Awesome. Check it out. And like Cliff said, all of your donations to help out the people playing, all of them go to charity. So good stuff. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cliff, Opti, and Oz, for doing a show tonight.
My pressure.
Good one. All right, we'll see you guys, and see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.